Can't get a meeting? This show's for you. Welcome to SDR Enablement. I'm your host, Nicholas Thickett, and this is the wonderful
Jason Stone.
We're just nailing this.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's a kind intro.
So
Wonderful.
why is it that it doesn't matter how much we pick up the phone, how many emails we send off, why are we getting stuck in nowhere land?
How long is this show?
Yeah.
Listen, it's again, we say this and I feel like we just repeat ourselves, but it's the volume of outreach that is out there. I was reading the other day that there's the average VP of sales or VP of designated processor service, right, is they receive 300 unsolicited emails a week.
I thought it'd be a lot higher.
Yeah. And I think that's on average. I don't know what the size and shape of everybody looks like, but it's like, I mean, if it were me, I would tell you I get 500 a week easily. And no one's being different. No one's being relevant. Everyone is just focused on getting an email sent, collecting activity. And I just had an internal meeting with our group, and we have specific metrics that we want to meet. It's not all around activity. It's about quality outreach, quality and relevant messaging and those types of things. And we look at it pretty closely. But what we're finding is that even at the volume we're doing, which is, again, we're not a volume play, we're very specific. What happens when you get a rep to the end of the week and they're 30 shy of getting their activity bonus, the next 30 outreaches are garbage. Right? So imagine having that volume times 3.
Sorry, I realized there was writing on my cup.
What
I was
does
like,
it
I should
say?
probably go and make sure I see what it says before I go lift it up. Said, I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen, which is pretty fitting for this, this live.
I used to have one. I was drinking out of it. Said "Get shit done," and I was on a client call and I lifted it up and I was like, "Oops." Turns out they felt the same. But yeah, so it's the gatekeeper problem isn't going away, and cold email is harder, cold calling is harder. LinkedIn is saturated.
But I think it's really simple. I think if we why is this problem occur? I think it's really simple. The problem was during the Industrial Revolution, for the first time in history, we had a glut of product that needed to be sold. It did not have an intended buyer when it was manufactured. This is where the art of sales, other than other more interesting professions, had to go and sell. But that's how it started. And it wasn't a marketing play, it was sales. That's why BANT exists, is because they were fulfilling an order from a manufacturing facility. Like they were order takers. And there's nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. But the problem is, as soon as we started to go push volume, people didn't have the time to do the work right. So what did they do? They created generic sentences that were about the features and benefits of their products, because it was all about the solution. And then when we started to get new ways, so we got, telegraph to telephone, mail to email, the digital methods allowed us to go so much bigger, so much faster, so much more. And as we kept pushing, there was no relevance. It's like, if you're buying a machine gun, you're not sniping. It's because you can't shoot. But that's kind of how it works.
That's not kind of. It's exactly how it works.
Jason's not going to pull any punches today, but that's why this exists. And like, why do we have so many gatekeepers? Why do we have AI gatekeepers? Why is there so many barriers to getting in the way? It's because we've earned it.
Yeah.
Not us personally, but that's okay. That's an advantage. But because people abuse the system, like anything in the world, you get somebody that starts with something, somebody abuses it, we lose the privilege. Sales lost the privilege because they weren't relevant and they didn't show up ready. And this is just getting worse and worse and worse. So where did people go? Communities. They went off platform because has anybody ever noticed that everything is extremely theoretical on social media?
No.
No. Part of the reason is most of the people that are talking about have never done it. We got LinkedIn. It's always interesting when you have these people that are doing consulting work and they're regurgitating other people's content, but because they can't troubleshoot it's because they've never done it. But this plays out a lot in sales too, because a lot of people have never actually implemented, actually used the product start to finish and seen how it works, seen how people use it in their day to day, and it creates an extreme disadvantage. And this is where we're at today is people are looking for people that have actually done the work. Who's solved this problem before? What did they do? Even if they didn't, it wasn't right the first time they solved it. What the hell did they try? And so it was really interesting. I heard this originally from Chris Walker, who we actually had on the B2B Power Hour previously. He had a podcast called State of Demand Gen. And what he was talking about is that a lot of people switched because they wanted to educate themselves, switched to how they were educating themselves. And instead of going into generic places to learn about sales or marketing, they're going to hubs to learn about tech sales. There's hubs to go and learn about business analysis and professional services. Like there's these very niche communities that popped up, Slack, Teams, Circle. But the big reason that they're so important is that they're vetted. They don't want somebody being promotional and putting garbage in there. They want genuine conversations. They want an actual community. And what this allows people to do is birds of a feather flock together. But now we have these genuine conversations because, like, Jason, we've talked about it, like being a founder, sometimes it can be a lonely world because people don't understand what your day to day actually looks like or some of the emotions you feel when, payrolls due and you're like, cool, we
Yeah.
just did this major project and now I got to make payroll. And yet, I'm not the bonus I thought I was going to pay myself for vacation pay or whatever just doesn't exist. Right. It's,
Yep.
it's, it's a beautiful thing when people have that level of understanding. So who here uses communities go and start conversations? Do you, Jason?
We do. Yeah. But I want to go back real quick and just say the other thing that the effect of all the things that we're doing, it also creates trust erosion, right?
Oh, good call. Good call.
And communities gives you that again, if utilized correctly. And again, I don't have a playbook, right? We try to be genuine when we participate. We don't sell. We try to help solve the problem or give ideas, and I think that's the right way. It's maybe not the only way, but I believe that's the right way. But the idea around community is you trust them. You get,
Mhm.
you and because trust erosion is huge, and you say it all the time, right? You can't move faster than the speed of trust. And
Yeah,
if you're if you can build trust, it's the opposite of what we are attempting to do. And
such a
you
good
know,
point.
generically anyway. But yeah,
Yeah,
we
agreed.
use communities,
I
and
think you think we should go and expand on that last point because it was such a good one that we actually do the opposite of building trust. And I think, like,
yeah.
what do you normally see people do in communities? I think this is really important. I think we should talk about it before we talk about what actually to do. I think we should talk about what not to do.
Yeah, and listen, communities is it's about building, it's about helping, right? I mean, if you think about just any community you're in, whether it's a church, whether it's your neighborhood, whether it's a, you know, men's club, whatever it is, it's about support. And all of those things happen because you trust the people that are in it. Um, so that the first bold italics 49 font would be don't sell.
Hmm.
That's not what it's about.
Do you want to hear a story?
I would love to
Make
hear
it make
one.
make it laugh at me. Okay. Just working up the courage to tell a story. So, ladies and gents, get in the comments if you want, but this is gonna be a good story, I guess. So, when I used to have my insurance brokerage, I networked a lot to the point where I actually questioned if I was an extrovert because I didn't feel like I was recharging my energy while I was doing these things. It was burning me out. And I was trying to figure out what to do because I was putting in about, on average, about 25 to 30 hours a week of formal networking. Like it was,
That's that's a large amount.
and in person, because we're
Yeah,
talking 15 years ago. So everything was in person too. And like, so it's a lot of running around and then, maintaining your Rolodex and trying to go and make sure you have like, it's not like what we have right today.
yeah.
And I was meeting outrageous amounts of people every single week. And I was going to pretty cool events. Some not so much because I was just trying to go and network a lot. But it was an interesting experience because I got to the point where I was too busy. I was getting tired, but I didn't have the results to back it up. This is honestly where activity should be counted because my return on energy, my return on my time was not there. And to be honest with you, I was pissed off because I could not understand because everybody kept telling me, you have to go and do networking. You have to do this. You have to go to like this many events a week. You got to go and do this. You got to do this. And I was following it all to the T and it wasn't working. So I sat in this coffee shop in downtown Edmonton and poured my heart out on a piece of paper, looking over them because I've always kept a journal. And so I grabbed my journals and I started reading through them and taking in and reflecting on what actually happened. And it took a couple hours, but I started to notice a trend. And holy crap, did it piss me off. This is where the story gets really annoying. So when I first started networking, I was the drive-by business carder where, you're going by and you're like, you a card, you a card, you a card, you a card. Hey, you want to buy today? And I realized that was bad because it's the ultimate way to lose friends and family. I mean, yeah, casual. And then I upgraded to having better conversations, but still very sales heavy. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but people absolutely freaking love when you provide them feedback that they never asked for. Right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Your baby's ugly. Excuse
Yep.
me?
You
Like,
heard me.
it's fantastic. It works so well. No, it doesn't. And I hit this moment of frustration because the only time that I was selling was when this one thing happened. Any guesses what that one thing is?
I don't. I failed to guess. Go.
So what pointed this out is I had a VP that I was talking to, and he was of a dream client, public company. I've always loved this company. I knew so much about them, so it was an easy conversation to have. Started to go and pitch him, and he shut me down hard, but he also said, "Nick, I never asked your opinion. And you never took the time to understand what I'm like, step in my shoes. You just assumed, but never actually challenged it." And I walked away from that. Then that's kind of what started this cycle when I was going through and reviewing my journals. And I realized the only time I sold is when people asked me what I do or opened up the conversation first. So if they didn't ask me, so what do you do? Or, oh, that's interesting. How do you do that? Some variation of that where they were inquiring. If I pitched before that inquiry, my win rate was less than 1%.
I believe
If
that.
if they asked, my win rate was above 80%. But a problem occurred when I realized this. This is where the story gets a little more entertaining. Frick. I realized I was really boring because I had built this skill set of having to pitch in a hurry, but I had lost the tact of having a good conversation and just being interesting. And so I had to unlearn these bad habits to just have good conversations with people and actually interact and get to know them. And it sounds stupid, and it is stupid because I did it, but
It,
it I
but
dug myself a hole.
yeah, it's human nature. You
And
start
this is
getting
oh,
in a rut.
and this is where vampire sales came from. So if anybody's ever heard me say this before, I just thought it was a fun act or a fun way to just remember, like, in folklore, vampires are not allowed to enter your home unless they're invited. So don't fucking pitch unless you're invited. That was what I used to tell myself every single time when I'd walk into a networking event, because if I pitched before I was asked, I was actually selling myself short and killing an opportunity before it even started. So that sounded harsh, but it was a reality that I had to live by. And when we started getting into social media, this actually just got more amped up on steroids. And the thing that people don't realize is that the people that are interacting with you on social media rarely are the buyers, but they play a very important role. Those people that are active engagers are who the buyers trust, and they lurk in the background watching this unfold, learning, and as we go, they follow the journey with us. And then down the road, if they have questions, that's when they reach out. And this is why we can have 90% of the sales cycle or more where they're just doing self-discovery, and then all of a sudden they reach out to us, and then it's bam, 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 and it happens so fast. This is how sales has changed, but the problem is we haven't changed with it. So instead, we're chasing people that never asked to be chased or have no interest in what we're selling or no triggers to say now is the right time. And we chase, 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 which adds cost and wastes money, which puts your job in jeopardy, which should be a marketing job to keep on them to build brand authority. And when they're ready, they'll raise their hand because, if anybody's bought a suit before, I don't go and talk to the person behind the desk unless I have a question, which typically comes to customization. Hey, okay, I'm ready to start thinking about how to tailor this. And this is what happens in B2B all the time. And where do people go before to learn about tailoring? Niche communities,
Yep.
because it's the only place that people have had real experience actually doing it firsthand, and they can learn. Because if anybody's ever heard about like ERP implementations, most of them are failures. I think it's still got an 80% or 78% failure rate. And the only thing that makes a difference is somebody that's done it before and is set up properly. So how we sell things does matter.
It really does. I mean, you know, it what's interesting about your vampire sales, and I love that, by the way. Um, so we were at a event and we had a booth, and we I was dealing with the marketing folks, and this was a smaller company trying to break into the US market. And one of the things that I said, well, look, there's going to be, it was email automation. There's thousands of email automation companies out there. And so I was like, well, let's just put up a question mark, not our logo, not what we do, just a question mark on the banner. That's
Mm.
it. And do you know how many people we got to talk to and pitch? Because what's the first thing they asked when they came over?
Why is
What
the
do you
question
guys?
mark?
Yeah, what do you
Yeah.
guys do? And it was phenomenal. And we walked out of there the first time in my career going to, we've all talked about the trade show leads, right? And they're just that's pile of cards or QR codes to justify a big bar bill. Um, so but
It's
we
true.
walked out. It is. I mean, it's funny because it's true. Uh, but we walked out of there with a legitimate stack of folks that we were genuinely interested in learning more about what we did. And we ended up, probably 25, 30 opportunities out of that one show. And it was just, and it wasn't a gimmick. It seems gimmicky, but it wasn't. It was like, it's like, well, what makes them want to stop? If I say email automation, there's 32 email automation booths. And, so what I'm going to make them stop because, to me, what's more gimmicky is, saying, come and scan your QR code and we'll put you in a raffle, or come get some
Hey, can
tchotchke.
I just go and scan your
Yeah.
barcode there?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, I just love to go and spam you and your extended family for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Come
What?
over for Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was phenomenal. It was, but
Do you know what's really funny? This is just a stupid side note. We never had a problem spending half a million, million plus on a trade show.
oh, yeah.
But could I get fucking ink in my printer at work to go and write contracts that actually made money? Like, do you remember that? Having to fight?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. The card, I can't go and print that right now. The printer's empty. Well, go sell something so we can go make money. Well, stop wasting money and go buy
Yeah,
printer
stop
ink.
stop wasting money on trade shows.
Just sorry, that was that one always used to kill me. I had one boss that he's like, "Do you know how much money we spent on printer ink this week?" I don't know, $40. How much did you spend on the trade show at Stampede?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know, what about 1.2 million? Hmm. What was the ROI? We don't know yet.
yeah,
Maybe focus on printer ink.
yeah. We ask them a year later, they still don't know. My favorite answer to that ROI question is, well, we have 20 opportunities. Like, you have 20 people you talk to.
Leads,
Yeah,
names and
leads.
numbers.
Nobody of which showed the least amount of interest in what you do.
But I
But
think
we do.
that's the cool part about communities because you know there's interest.
Yeah,
And I think the thing too that people don't realize is people that are joining communities are professionals that are eager to learn. And they have that thirst for knowledge. Actually, when I realized this, I started using a sales nav, uh, and you can try the search filter, and I started looking for emotional language in their profiles. Because people that cared put emotion into their profiles. People that use it as a digital resume kept emotion specifically away because it was a resume.
yeah. Was
And
it
so ways to go and target people on social media just to go and find the people that were emotionally engaged and cared.
but it also goes back to and the problem we have, I
Just
get
one?
this email from the no, well, a problem.
Sorry.
I get this email twice a week from this guy. He's been doing it for 2 months, almost 3 months, and the headline is "Always be closing," which is great. I have not unsubscribed because it's just entertaining at this point.
Did you send him back some Glengarry Glen Ross
I haven't no,
gifts
that's
yet?
the other thing. I haven't responded. I haven't done
You're
anything.
missing out on so many beautiful opportunities
I
right
know.
now.
If I had the time, I probably would be a little bit
Guys,
more
you got to get in the chat right now. You got to tell Jason that he is missing a beautiful opportunity to do some wonderful work with some gift.
All right, you've inspired me. I will respond the
Actually,
next time
question for you.
I'll
If
get
he
one
owns
today,
that shit and responds with a great gif and actually like riffs off it well, would you take the meeting?
probably.
Me too, actually.
Yeah,
Me too.
probably.
See? See,
Yeah,
guys, beautiful opportunity. Like allowing people to rise to the occasion and use a wicked gif. Like
yeah.
coffee
I
is
w
for clothes. Put
I yeah. You know what 3rd place is? Steak knives. Um, but the point is, like, not everybody's a prospect, and that's the belief that they are,
but
and it
everybody
goes
needs what we sell.
what everybody does, 100%. But in communities, you really have to that has to go out the window because the trust in a community is what you can't break,
Mm.
and if you build your trust over time, what ends up happening is you get a prospect from someone who never intended to buy from you. They might if you give them good advice, you share your successes and failures with them, they'll send other people to you. They may never have the need or the ability. I was in a community one time and we were sharing about messaging and cadences, and I just shared with what we do, and this is how we look at it. And the guy, he responded. He's like, "I've got an internal team. They do this," and I responded back. And as months went by, and he sent me a note saying, "Hey, I appreciate your feedback a couple of months ago. I've never had the opportunity. They don't believe in outsourcing this. They want this function in house. I would have never had the opportunity to purchase from you, but I've got a friend." Intro,
Oh,
and then we ended up doing business with that friend. And
okay.
that one interaction has turned into probably 3 or 4 pieces of business with us because we did a really good job with that guy. He left and went to another company and brought us back on, referred us to another I mean, it just if you do it, I mean, and Spike Lee, do the right thing. It's like,
Do the right thing.
it's not hard. It's, again, it's more difficult to be deceitful, in my opinion, but we digress. Um, Yeah, I think, yeah, I would give that. I would absolutely take a meeting if he owned it and sent something back. I got one the other day that I thought was pretty funny, and it said, "Hi, first name," and I was like, "Oh my god." And then I got down to the text. She goes, "Just kidding. I know your name's Jason. I just wanted to get your attention." And I actually took a
Oh, amazing.
yeah,
See,
I
this is
thought
the
that was
stuff I love. I love when people are creative.
yeah,
But I think the thing is, it's so unique, and it's like, remember when people used to send voice notes or videos in the DMs on LinkedIn, and you knew it was a human, so you're like, "Oh, they actually put some effort in?"
yeah. But now,
Or or people I when was it? 7 or 8 weeks ago, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten letter, and I have to go find that. I'll read it on a show in the future, but it was so well done, and she had taken the time to do research, and I had to take a meeting, like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts, like, it was so well researched, she took out what this lady did is she took the cognitive load off of me. She did all the thinking for me so that she showed up ready to have a good conversation and allowed me to show up ready too. And that was so well done because that to me, that's all sales is or prospecting is helping people get ready to buy, right? Inspiring change. That's it. But what I've noticed is people try to rush it and it just goes nowhere and it hurts reputation. So like I'll go in I'll throw this in the chat, but have you ever heard of the exposure ladder, Jason?
no.
I So what it is basically you start with low. So step 1, low distress, low friction. So basically what is the simplest way you can show up that doesn't you don't need to have a lasting or you don't have to have an existing relationship that it's not going to feel weird or just think about like what would you what would be okay if you walked up to somebody in a coffee shop? Like how would you start a conversation? That's essentially what we're talking about but in digital and in particular in communities. So you start out with step 1. So what I love to do is drop an insightful comment. Better yet, try to go and ask an insightful question that shows that you care, that you're curious. People love when you're curious about their work or them because if it feels like you're just going to do a bait and switch and then just go talk about whatever you want to talk about, it's such an awful feeling.
It feels dirty.
It really does. The
It does.
next one is you kind of go to like a medium. There it kind of depends on who you ask, but I just do this. 3 steps, medium, tag them in a separate this one, have you guys tried this? Tag them in a separate thread referencing a resource that solves a problem they previously mentioned.
I've done that.
But what we used to do is we'd tackle it as a team and we'd focus on one type of persona and we would get someone else in the office, particularly somebody that has at least 10 years experience doing that specific thing, get them to post about it and then we'd tag them in the comments. Hey, was this what you were talking about? I was actually just talking to so and so and he was saying, yeah, it's quite interesting how most CS is run as a cost center instead of a profit center, yet half the time they do more upsells than we do. And it's just a simple conversation starter. Like it doesn't even have to be anything crazy, but what you're doing is you're inviting them to go and take part in more. And then the last one is a high value direct message. So you'd slide in their DMs. The thing is, don't sell.
Don't sell.
And the reason I say don't sell is you have to pique that curiosity, like I said about vampire sales. And if you can make it to step 3, you do. Or, oh, it says you work with the tech companies, or it says that you work in XX, like, or division at whatever. What is it that you actually do? That is the golden ticket. You're like, if you're Willy Wonka, I got the golden ticket.
Oh, a great show. Great movie.
I still can't believe they remade it.
I can't either. Did you watch it?
No, it hurt my heart. I was like, after funny segue.
They remade
After
it
finding
twice.
Nemo and
Yeah.
like waiting so long for another movie, just anybody else saw it. Like Finding Dory just did not meet any expectations. Like, it was nice that they finally made the movie.
Yeah, but it wasn't Finding Nemo.
It wasn't Finding Nemo. Like, and this,
Meanwhile, we're on Toy Story 32. Like, I
what
mean,
Toy Story are they on now?
they got to get some new toys. 5. I think they're coming out with 5, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
the kid's 42 years old now. So,
Andy.
yeah. I mean, I know that everybody's passed down and all that, but yeah. Anyway,
Little
selling past
segue.
selling past the close. Um, no, there is an art to it, and it's so, and there is a spot of control of your eagerness to sell that you have to really put in check. And and again, we go back to some of the things that we saddle our reps, AEs with, is it doesn't allow for this, because what could be is not what is. And we're all, sales is all about what is. What are you
Yeah,
doing now?
it's
You
too
know what I mean?
quick. It's
Yeah.
too transactional. And I think the funny thing that I've noticed between startups versus like later stage companies is they fall in love with their own story,
Oh, yeah.
which isn't a bad thing in some ways, because it's good to be passionate about what you do. But the biggest difference that I've noticed, and this is where it fits into communities, is that they fall in love with a problem and they seek every single way they can to find people that are just talking about that problem or experiencing that problem now. And instead of trying to solve it, they want to understand it and they just have conversations with people. But the thing that I never realized when I first heard about this from the David C. Baker on Two Bobs and the State of Demand Gen with Chris Walker is that it's also social proof. So often we get told things can do things and then they don't.
Right.
Going into the comments and having a conversation with people is an easy way to wow people. Oh my God, it actually worked. Oh wow, he fixed that so quickly. Proof's in the pudding. And it can be just that simple. You don't have, I wouldn't be going out of my way to go and like overhaul like a go-to-market just by, chatting in the comments. But it's just, what are those little problems that come up that once you understand, and because you've solved them before, what would you do differently? And you just provide that little bit of advice. Like, I remember telling people years ago, stop putting your stupid YouTube links in your LinkedIn post, put the whole fucking video in there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I get a message back after 2 weeks. So I actually tried putting the video in and it did incredibly well.
Imagine that.
It's like LinkedIn wants you to stay on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And specifically nowadays, with as much fraud that is out there, your people are hesitant to click a link that takes them away from anything they trust, which goes back to trust. You haven't earned the trust for them to click a link and follow you yet. That, to your point, there's a great book out called "Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution." I don't know if you've read that. It's by
No, but I'm adding that to my list right now.
Yuri Levine. It's it talks about you solving the problem, like fall in love with the problem and solve it for your consumers.
And if you take that approach and find which communities are talking about those problems,
Yeah.
and the thing I always tell people too is don't worry about decision makers. Just find places that have an active community of people are having regular conversations about stuff like problems that you want to talk about. And just talk to them. Don't try and solve it. Don't try and sell them anything. Just try to understand how the problem's showing up and what's the story they're telling themselves about it.
I'm gonna put it in the chat.
If anybody has any questions, whether it's right now while we're live or later, please go and jump in the chat. A lot of the reason we want to do this is to go and start the conversations and have you bring in different examples and we'll solve it live with you. Just because we know that a lot of the time our managers don't necessarily have time to go and work with us or to go and we're just moving so fast that sometimes we don't get the chance to go and dive into this like we are right now. So if you have a question, if you have a scenario, please jump in the comments and we'd be happy to go and discuss it with you.
Yeah, the worst thing is to go at this alone and keep doing the same thing over and over. Um, you know, I talked to a guy. We're hiring, and I talked to a guy yesterday and asking him. It's like, what's the reason you want to change? And he's like, well, and he actually saw a couple of my posts, and he's like, you just you. And I'm not saying this is not about me. This is about him. He's like, you seem genuinely like you want to help somebody become better at
Mm,
whatever it is they're doing. And I was like, well, that's the goal. And I was like, I've always said that I want people to grow, whether it's with us or with somebody else. I don't care. It's the progression of your career is one of the most important things to me, always has been. But I asked him, I said, well, tell me about your growth thus far. I've seen he's had 5 jobs in like the last 7 years, which is sometimes a red flag. Not so much anymore, but but his statement was, I was tired everywhere I went. The bar got higher, and it's not me failing, it's everyone else failing. And he's like, and I've succeeded in most of the places that I've been, but I walked into unrealistic expectation after unrealistic expectation. And the last role he had was sales role, and AE was supposed to be closing and maintaining the book of business. He said 70% of his time was trying to find people to talk to. He's like, and I wasn't, I wasn't cold calling. That's not what I got hired for, but that's what I was doing. Cold, and nobody there knew. All it was just do more. And he's like, and that's just the fastest way to fail. So, needless to say, we'll probably hire him. But he's a
sounds like
good,
a good fit. And he
yeah.
did
I mean,
his
he's a good,
research and
yeah,
good conversation.
yeah. And it's the thing that I liked about it, and the thing that stood out to me was he he wasn't accepting the system, right? He's trying to find a place where that system doesn't exist. He's just not accepting it, which is one of the reasons he jumped for, job to job, because he's like, but again, you go through and get hired, and promises are made and promises are broken. But yeah, it's just a vicious cycle. And I mean, I love it when people DM me, and I love it when people, shoot me over a message, a cadence that they're doing, saying, why is this? It's fun for me. And like I said, I don't do this because I'm getting 1,000 leads and emails and opportunities a month. I do it because I genuinely love it. Sales has been very good to me. I'm,
For the most
it's
part.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have failed, multiple times, and a lot of the times it wasn't the necessarily the system. It was me adopting the system instead of doing what I knew was the right thing to do. Uh,
There's always a learning curve too, and I
yeah,
don't
I mean, it
that's
was
one thing that annoys me about this profession and all of RevOps is nobody values learning enough. Yet if we fell in love like we're pitching right now, like fall in love with the problem, not the solution. And I
yeah,
think that's what happens in RevOps all too often is the solution is activity. The solution is this. But what are we learning about the problem? So like I'll throw this in the chat because I'd love to go and talk about it. But are you familiar with the drama triangle?
no,
So it's talking about how we interact and how we show up. And so in traditional sales, the seller often acts as the victim. The gatekeeper won't let me through and treats the gatekeeper as a persecutor. Like they are the villain in this story. But it's not true. And this is why a lot of the time we get ourselves in trouble. But if you shift that and kind of step into a creator role, you start to view community moderators not as blockers. Oh, they won't let me pitch. Oh, they won't let me, do garbage transactional activities. But they're actually challengers who protect the community's integrity. But even if you take this look and we stop making ourselves everybody like the villain to us getting in touch with people, think of it in terms of relevance. This keeps us relevant. This means like I remember a boss saying this to me years ago, and it has never, unfortunately, lives in my head. But I said, I can't, I can't afford to do any more research because I won't have enough time to go and get my calls in. And he goes, well, what if they pick up? Right?
Yeah. Right. But that goes back to what we talked about a couple of episodes ago, like preparedness. We don't get prepared because we expect the interaction that we have the next time to be the same as the last 50 times because we've done nothing to change it, right?
Yep.
And that's what we again, it's funny that you say that about the empowerment of the flip on the because we don't when we get we don't call them the gatekeeper, right? They are the internal champion. That's what we try to turn them into. Like, how can they help us solve this problem? What's the problem? Well, we're trying to get in touch with so and so, and we've done our research to know the name, not just the title, right? And if the name is wrong, because data is, hold your breath, sometimes wrong. Yeah, they'll
I've
correct you.
never had that happen.
Yeah, never. Has John Smith worked there? No, he's dead. Oh, um, but what ends up happening, even if you get it wrong, the fact that you've asked for help, you have given them an opportunity to do exactly that. And people will correct you when you're wrong. That's one thing I can guarantee you most people do, especially if they have the answer, right? So even if you have the wrong data, it does so your research doesn't have to be, I know it needs to be founded and it needs to be done respectfully and responsibly, but it doesn't have to be accurate because you can't control that. So don't do it haphazardly. And haphazardly is, hey, I was wondering if you could direct me to the VP of sales. Well, we have 10 VPs of sales. Oh shit, what do I do now? Yeah, could just any of them will do. Right? You're not building trust. You're not letting that person do they're not going to blindly send you to somebody unless they have the VP of sales over the East region pissed them off earlier and they want to send them, that would happen. But you go in with your research knowing who you want to talk to. And if that person is no longer there, or maybe they got promoted, well, that's even better, right? You're getting information, but you have to go in with information. I never say this right because it's a tongue twister, but it's quid pro quo, right? You go
Mhm.
in with information and people will correct you and help you. But yeah, looking at them as a gatekeeper,
Oh,
pushing like that friction,
I
it's
wish people realize how much of a hack that is for just humanity. People love to tell you you're wrong.
yeah,
The amount of stuff when I was in M&A and doing reconnaissance before we went and bought and sold the company, it was amazing if I made a bold statement about something I knew, and often I would actually say the opposite, which if anybody has seen my polls on LinkedIn, I do this quite a bit. I don't actually say what I believe. I pick an strong emotional stance, and I throw it out there because I wanna see how others react. And so, like, one time I was talking about I was like, "Yeah, it'd be interesting. I never thought you guys would buy a facility over here because it just doesn't make sense for your go-to-market, and it doesn't integrate with your strategy." "Oh, we actually just went and bought." He caught himself, and I'm like, "Sounds like we should have a chat." "Yeah, let's meet next week." But the other thing too is you gotta think, like, all these people, I wrote the 5 steps of empathy for inbound. Well, the first step is dismantle judgment, and I think if we take that seriously, that's a huge step that does a lot because 'cause we're battling everybody that came before us. And, like, I don't know about you, but I love talking to EAs and secretaries.
yeah,
They know what's going on,
better than anybody in the organization, arguably.
and they all talk, which
Yes.
most in the organization don't, which is also ironic. But what I found interesting is was actively listening, but I asked a couple questions and asked for help. One of the companies I worked with, I don't know if I told you this, actually gave me a flower and chocolate budget.
Really?
Yeah, so I was allowed $250 a week to send flowers and chocolates. So anytime I'd call a secretary because they knew it was my play,
Yeah.
I'd call a secretary in EA and I'm like, "Hey, you know what's going on better than anyone else, and I don't wanna waste your time or waste anyone's time. I have a problem. I think I know who I should talk to, but could I get your help, please?"
I mean, it's magic. There's not a silver bullet, but it's a bullet. I
And if
mean,
that person doesn't respond, call the next EA.
yeah,
Don't be disrespectful. They have a job too. There's a reason why they're so strict about letting people through that door,
100%.
just like you're so strict about hitting quota. So be respectful and move on. And that's how you save face.
Yep. I think you talked about your polls. One of my favorite polls that you put up was the one that says, "Does booking a meeting
Oh,
booking a meeting is not an
did you
opportunity?"
see how that turned out too?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
was I thought it was going to be closer to 50-50 or
I did too.
60-40, but
It was
86.
yeah, it was 8. The last I saw was like 75,
It got over
25.
80.
Did it
Over
really?
80% of people said no.
Yeah,
Booking a
that's
meeting doesn't previously, because there were so few stakeholders and business wasn't as complex. I genuinely believe, like from the 90s to probably about 2010, booking a meeting did initiate an opportunity,
there was a point in time, for
right?
sure.
Because before inbound really took hold and the internet really put information to people's hands, the buyer's hands, that's what worked. Just not anymore.
Yeah. No, we said what did we say last week? There's like 17 to 25 now. It's insane.
Yeah, and did I tell you too that they're saying that the average B2B sales cycle right now is 222
Yeah,
or
you said that too.
224 days?
That's fascinating.
I didn't get any more data on like what's the deal size? Is it any particular industries? But they said as an average, and I can't remember who did it, but it was one of the organizations that tracks compensation, and so I can't remember who it was, but and then Gartner had put out the 222 days.
It's
Interesting.
yeah, it's fascinating. But when you look at some of the that's the effect of some of the things that we're saying, right? Um, that not talking to the right people, not talking to them at the right time.
That's a big
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. And what's funny about that too is if you think about it, right? When does the sales process start? So 222 days. It starts when you have a conversation, you would think, right? But this stat that 86% of the people are halfway through the buying cycle already. So really the buying cycle is
And
444
they were
days.
saying it was actually more.
Yeah.
So
So
no, they were saying 222 days on average, but what they were saying was that the most buyers right now aren't bringing salespeople in into the tail end. So
how does it take that long? So they can't be so are they calculating their self-driven research?
I need to go. That's actually a good question, good quantifying question of
Yeah.
what is the
Because
starting point, which I find this tough with stage one, stage zero from, however people set their pipeline and I'm doing pipeline metrics for them. It's like, well, how do I go and set up these numbers and do some data for you when nobody has the same definition of what stages mean?
yeah. It's fascinating to me. I would love to dig into that particular stat because um, it, two things cannot be true at the same time. Like it can't be.
I wouldn't think so.
So if I'm like if I'm nine, so if the if a race is 222 days or 222 miles, and before I enter the race, I'm 90% of the way through the race. I shouldn't have to run 222 miles. So the math doesn't work for me.
Although I am wondering
Maybe
because,
I'm just being dense.
well, the one thing I have noticed is that a lot of companies treat every lead the same. Inbound, outbound, they treat them the same. And like one of the things I notice from being a buyer is they create an ugly process in the buyer's shoes because you have to answer the same fucking questions over and over and over again. And
Yeah,
it's like, why do we have these useless roles? If you're asking me the same questions, you're adding no benefit. You're actually putting more steps and creating more friction, wasting my time. Like, I just need to buy. Well, you need to see a demo. Why? I've used it before. Can I just buy? Can you give me a buy now? Like, I don't need to talk to you. And I think this is the danger in sales is you have to balance this out of like how much is enough and how much is too much. And how do you just meet the buyer where they're at? instead of following a stupid process for no freaking reason other than they say that the company says you have to do that. Salesforce is one that pisses me off the most. You download one of their papers and then they fucking email you relentlessly and then call you and it's like, you had a state of sales report that I wanted to read.
Yeah.
What idiot said that this is because I want to buy something?
Right. I'm just curious.
Like if you would have had something on the bottom and said, and this is how the CRM solves it, and then you downloaded that paper, okay, smart demand gen, not smart whenever there's no intent to buy. We're getting on the soapbox a little bit here, but that's okay.
Well, um, I got on one earlier today, so
But I think it's like to kind of wrap this up as like our how we've come around. What the biggest problem is people are showing up on VP's doors, C-suite doors, which is the judge and jury. So think about it this way. Not too seriously though, but you're going to trial for murder. You show up at the judge and jury's door with no research, expecting them to do all the work for you. What's
right.
going to happen? And this is the biggest thing I've noticed with the most experienced elite reps is they start only as high as what they can prove. So it's a learning goal before it's a performance goal. They know that if they don't know the industry well, or if they haven't seen how these play out, they have to start lower in with the personas they're talking to because they have to learn as they go. But after they've been doing it for years, that's when they start going to VPC suite right away, is because they've heard the problems over and over. They know how to talk to them. They know the stories that they tell themselves. And if you don't know, this is where the community is. Having that genuine empathy and listening first. Just comment. Don't worry about posting. Just engage with curiosity and to learn. Build your business case. Build your toolbox. And if you can do that, I see a lot of people that have just a LinkedIn profile that are selling more than a lot of these in some of these large companies in terms of the profitability, because they don't have people just trust individuals more and they took the time to get to know them. So they know who they are. They have that trust with them and they know they do what they say. This is how, as an individual, you can really stand out in communities is just constantly show up, do what you say, do it well, and learn and be active. But the moment you start pitching, you're not active. You're reactive.
Yep.
But it's just, and it's also too, it's interesting because one of the things I noticed, and we tracked this when we were running Aligned. So on average, we cut our sales cycles by somewhere between 40 and 60% just doing this community play. And it was a
are you
lot easier to scale too, because
yeah,
we
because
talk to
everybody
one person, everybody else can see it. And all of a sudden, you got a couple different, it was always amazing. Like you'd have nothing happening. And then 3 weeks in, all of a sudden you'd comment on a post and the post would blow up and then your comments would blow up. And next thing you know, you got 7 VPs in your DMs asking you really good questions. And you're like, this is why social selling works.
Yeah.
But it's not linear.
It's not. And it's important to define what social selling is. Right. And social selling is not selling.
I think I wrote earlier in the chat because I wanted to have it in there. Social selling is engagement in public that earns conversations in private.
Yep. 100%.
Selling on social is what most people do. And that is why it doesn't work, because it does, like Jason said at the start, it does the exact opposite. It erodes trust and loses friends.
It does. And, one of the things that we do is we test, every possible form of outreach with as many possible vendors as we can to see what's what, and I get, again, probably 500 messages a week. And we were dabbling in, like, we used to, I should say used to, we go in when we're connecting with folks and we to get an internal referral or we're working with a prospect. We go in and we request a LinkedIn connection. So, hey, Nicholas referred us to you. We thought it would be a good opportunity to connect on LinkedIn. I left you a voicemail and I'll follow up with an email. Thanks for the connection, something generic. And we used to be against it because if they were to click on it, right, they would take us to, well, you work for Frontline Selling, not Athena, right? And our manager over that group would always tell me, she's like, well, we can't do that. And I would say, well, why not? I mean, according to your poll, right, 63% of the people they accept connection requests blindly, right? So another great poll. But
that one ended up being over 90.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it swung from 60 mid 60s to up to 90, and the amount of VPs and C-suite that were in my DM said, yeah, I actually would prefer if sellers would do that. So please put this out there, do a blank connection request, put good content out there, and engage with me that way.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But again, it's like, and if they did, if they did go and looked and had some confusion or they're probably going to try to get a clarification. Somehow, some way. It's not a bad thing, is my point. But we were toying with AI and seeing how AI would go out and connect and everything like that. And it is the worst experience, and everybody's been on that side of it, right? Now, and I think
that's why I started laughing right away.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh.
I had 3 that popped into my brain. And I was like,
oh, it's terrible.
This is weird. Like, this person's
So
social
bad.
skills are awful. And then it's like, oh, it's a bot. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, and the telltale sign, the original, the very first one we did, this was my favorite. The very first one we did, we were, it would send an email or it would send a connection request. And once you accepted it, it was like I was just sitting there waiting.
Oh, the pitch slap.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, so I'm sitting there, I'm either have nothing else to do or this is a bot. And my entire point of saying all that is that there has to be relevance in it, and you have to be genuine in it, and AI cannot produce that. If you want to use for AI for connection requests, go find somebody, stream, build a list, and send out a connection request. Perfect. Do it. But don't immediately follow up with a pitch and
earn the right.
Yeah, earn the right. Engage with them elsewhere, just like Nicholas just said, right? Get in and engage with them, post things, tag them, like do responsible, connections and outreaches. It doesn't make any sense.
Jason,
to me.
That's crazy talk.
I know. But one genuinely helpful answer, if you're talking about communities, right? One genuinely helpful answer is worth more than 10 generic contributions.
It's so true. And if you keep going, you'll learn what I used to go in communities in the comments and test different phrasing to see what people would bite on, what they understood, and I didn't need to explain.
Right.
It's a great way to do research too.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, we're already at time.
I know. It's unbelievable how quick it goes. But
it's funny. Sometimes I'm nervous to get on here and have a chat because I just never know what questions we're to get and how it's going to go. And then the next thing I know, we're it's over.
It's over.
One thing I just wanted to add, I can't remember where I found this, but one of my bosses will let me do this, go and show them that social selling was powerful. Yeah. But I had to score every community on these 5 different pieces. Business value, are buyers there? Engagement, effort, risk. Are the rules anti-promotional? The other thing is there roles that are prohibited from being there? Is the bigger one. Urgency, are active problems being discussed? That's the most critical one for me. Engagement, right. Effort, and urgency. And then the last one is stakeholder relevance. I want a place that people feel safe to be vulnerable and be honest, that they're talking about the actual problems that are going on in their day-to-day, that they're discussing back and forth different scenarios and stuff that they've tried, and it's dynamic. And if I can find that, and sometimes that even have buyers, that is a beautiful place to go and sell. Or, sorry, to engage and connect with people.
Damn it. There goes the whole hour. Gone, shot to hell.
I was just going back to your Glengarry Glen Ross. I just
Yeah,
was
well,
getting,
it's right back.
getting the
All right.
gift set up.
Put a nice bow on it. Yeah.
I had to earn that coffee.
It's my third one today, so I hope I've earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are very good parameters to look for. And it's not hard to figure out quickly when you get into, like, have you ever been on Bravado?
Not in a while.
Yeah. That I would do something else other than that.
Years ago, I used to go and do Rev Genius and Pavilion,
Yeah.
and then a couple others, but I don't know. I find that right now between Substack and just like LinkedIn groups or just even just following influencers, the comments, the community in the comments have been really powerful. But did you want to close us out today?
Let's see if I can have a word of wisdom. Yeah, I just, in a community, I think if you have the mindset of you're a practitioner among practitioners, right? Right, the way you would talk to a peer. Um, with the biggest thing is with uncertainty, with opinion, and occasional, uh, for me, occasional admission that I've got something wrong. I've done something wrong. I've had, I have failed. The authority comes to to me. The authority comes from the quality of your thinking, not from
Mm,
positioning yourself as an authority or your product or service. Right?
you can't just throw that title on LinkedIn. It works.
No, I've tried with AI. Um, the but and lastly, your sequence matters, right? Your presence first, relationship second, private conversation third. Like those, skipping that and skipping presence and going straight to private conversation is cold outreach, and with extra steps actually. So, just
Amen.
be mindful of where you are and who you're talking to and how to speak.
Great words of wisdom. And as you guys know, it is 2026. It is no longer acceptable to suffer in silence. Sales is a tough profession, but a beautiful profession. Reach out if you need help. You're not alone. We all struggle at times. So it's a badge of honor to reach out and get the help you need when you need it. Get in the comments, get in our DMs. We're here to support you. And as always, happy selling, folks. We look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
See ya. Thanks, Nicholas.
Thanks, buddy.
See you, man.
Bye.
Bye.